Welcome back to the channel here at Cozy Financial Planning. We're back with a new video. It's a little bit of a different one than the last one. This one will be talking about a concept, and we're going to start with the RRSP concept. Now, this is something that is just a strategy that you can use in your financial planning toolbox. And the reason I decided to go with this is that I've always got the question from a lot of clients over the time, stuff like, how can I do better? How can I save more? How can I get closer to my goals? How can I use RRSPs differently or more? They always felt like there was another way to do something, or they felt like they weren't utilizing it to the best of their abilities. So we'll go over one strategy I would always show them, and it's something that you can use at any point, and we'll go over two different examples. So with that said, let's get right into it. So we're gonna get right into this. I call this an RRSP maximizer. What this is supposed to do, it's a strategy you can use at any point in your saving life to better utilize your RRSP. It isn't for everyone, and you don't have to, the goal is to think of it as a tool in your toolbox. It is not something you have to do every year. It's not something you have to do just once. You can do it as many times as you like or as you see fit for yourself and for your financial plan. But it is something to utilize or have in the back of your mind that if you weren't sure on how to catch up a little bit, or you wanted to do something, here's an opportunity that you can do with very little work on your part, right? And it can be done pretty quickly. So the current situation, we're gonna go over what this is. I like visuals, so we'll go over some charts. But essentially this is an RRSP loan. And what you do is you use it with your tax refund to push your retirement savings further. And kind of how we do that is, first and foremost, we have to understand how we utilize an RRSP, and that was in my first video on what they are and how to use them. And one point about that is you can generate part of a tax refund because you're not paying taxes on that income, and you already did. That's how the government gets us, is they take it off our checks, right? So they say, hey, you've already paid taxes, but I didn't actually earn this income, and they give you back tax money at tax time. And that's how you can get a tax refund generated with your with your RRSP contributions. So without further ado, we'll go over this chart that I've made, my fancy technology here. So first and foremost, you should be able to see on the screen the current situation. Your marginal tax rate is 30%. In Canada, we have a graduating bracket of taxes when we pay. The last dollar you make is when it's the next dollar you make, it hits another bracket. That's the percentage. It's taxed at, nothing below it. It's taxed at that rate. But this is called your marginal tax rate. So you invest $1,200 annually into your RRSP, and I did this as just an average Canadian that happens to make a little bit of money and start saving money. $1,200 is $100 a month essentially, which is pretty common, and your current tax refund about that is 30%, so we're looking at $360. And the tax refund is not guaranteed, just so I should say that here. It's a disclaimer. If you owe taxes or for some reason you don't do certain things, you might have to pay taxes, but this is only a situation where you get one back, right? Now, what does this look like in retirement purposes? So I did it here, investment returns over a 20-year period. We did a 7% rate of return, which is pretty common, pretty middle. Total amount that you would have earned is $52,638, right? That's how much you would save and get compound growth over $1,200 invested annually. When I did these numbers, I didn't do it as a monthly contribution just because it was easier this way. So it's just a one-stop $1,200 a year, and not done monthly, which will probably increase a little bit. As well as I started with $0. I started with $0 investment, so it started with just one $1,200 increase. So what can we do to increase this and make it better? So we have it with an RRSP loan. You take a $500 loan. It's really simple, really basic. Now, the one thing about RRSP loans, and we'll pause here for a moment, is that they're very easy to get. You get them pretty much on low credit. It's because they're fairly secure to an institution hand them out to you, and they go right into your RRSP, right? You never handle the money yourself. It just gets directly deposited on the forms. So it's pretty safe for someone to give it to you, so it's really easy to do, right? You can also generally get interest deferred on them for payment. So if you did it now, which is right before the deadline in 2025, you can get your tax refund back before you ever pay any interest. It will accrue, you will have to pay it, but you can get it pretty quickly, get it done, have everything paid off. We'll show you. So what happens is your new investment is $1,700. So instead of $1,200 annual, you'll be doing $1,700 because including the RSP loan and what you originally contribute. Your new tax refund is $510. So it's the $360 plus the difference of the 30% from the $500 loan. Now, what that means is you can take your new tax refund and immediately pay off your loan. And that's what you should be doing. That's what the strategy is, right? It's how to kind of generate something to get your retirement savings that much further, right? You didn't have an extra $500 this year. This is a way to do it, and you get your tax refund to pay it all off. So it's money that you never really see in your bank account, or that you'll potentially, like, you shouldn't just spend on discretionary. Now, some people will say, well, I can't do that, or I need my refund for XYZ, and that's okay. Don't do this RSP loan then. This is strictly to give you an idea of something you can utilize in your life to catch up or push your savings a little further if you're able to do it. Now, what does this look like on the investment time period? Same thing, 20-year time period, 7% rate of return, ROR. Our total amount is $74,571. Now, this is obviously predicated on the idea of $1,700 invested every year for 20 years at 7% average rate of return. But the point is that you are, and I did the differences here, you would have a $21,000, just under $22,000 difference in your savings, and just under 42% higher savings amount, right? Not for doing anything drastically different. You're not taking money actually out of your pocket. The tax refund that you get in the original one is just tax dollars you have to pay back anyway, so you might as well shove it into an RSP, and then you have to pay taxes anyway later. But again, some people will argue with me, and if you have any questions or comments or want to argue with me, feel free to do so in the comments. It's not such a problem. I personally think this is a great strategy. It wasn't for everyone, but there are people, if you're very disciplined, to make sure you take your refund and pay it off. I remember a client I had that did this. He was calling me before the RSP was posted. The loan wasn't officially posted to his account yet, and he was ready to pay it off and had his taxes done and everything. It was kind of crazy. Now I did another version of this just to show you a little bit higher numbers to see what this does. This is obviously a different perspective, but it's very similar, right? So we have $10,000 annual investment, the same MTR, so 30%. Your current tax refund is $3,000 because 30% of 10. Now, what do we have? The investment rate of return, you would have total $438,000 and $652. That's great. It's pretty steady for your retirement. It's a good chunk of money. And not to say, I want to pause, and I meant to say this on the previous one, not to say that $51,000 and $70,000 are going to help you through your whole retirement, but something is better than nothing, in my belief as a financial advisor. It isn't about being rich, it's about just being a little step better, right? How can you make your retirement a little bit better? And that's what I always want to teach people is, you may not be a millionaire, but we can teach you habits that get you a little closer to being a little bit better than you could have been, as well as you can show your kids or grandkids or anyone related to another generation how to get a little bit further step ahead. Because it's not always about us being light years ahead of where our parents were or anything like that. As the next generation, it's about being a little bit better so my kids can be a little bit better than me even, and then hopefully if I have any grandkids, same thing, right? They could be better than their parents. I want the family generation to keep increasing. So anyway, back to this. The current situation, $430,000. RSP loan will be different, so it'll be a lot higher, obviously. So $4,250 loan, new investment of this much, $14,250, a new tax refund of $4,275, which will pay off your original loan. Combine the two, and then your investment returns $625,000 compared to $438,000. Now the difference of this is $186,000 and just slightly about 42.5%, repeating, of course. But the reason is you roughly tell you between the two concepts, they stand pretty similar, that this will give you roughly a 42% difference in savings. And that's pretty drastic at the end of the day. And it could really definitely increase your retirement abilities and savings to make it a lot easier on you. It could be, even in the first scenario, you'll hit $20,000 difference or just under $22,000. That could be the difference between an extra year in your own home versus going somewhere else or living with family. Like, there's a lot to it, right? So again, it's one tool in your toolbox for financial planning at home that you can use. And I don't think this type of concept is being talked about enough by advisors or anyone else. And if you do see this and you have time, go talk to your bank and you tell them the strategy. They will tell you, I'm sure they will agree with it. Who doesn't? They obviously want to sell products. So go talk to your advisor, go talk to your institution and take care of it. All right, so don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one.